engine.
There's never been a dull race at Nazareth, the 1 mile oval in Pennsylvania, home of the racing Andrettis. A year ago, Nigel Mansell was the winner at the end of 200 miles, his 4th victory on an oval in 1993, and it gave him the championship. The drivers are the stars of the IndyCar scene, but no doubt who supplies the glamour. A look at the ladies' roll later. But first to Elkhart Lake, race 14 of the 16-race series. Paul Tracy for Penske away from pole. Jacques Villeneuve also starting from the front row. Championship leader Al Unser Jr. and Nigel Mansell leading the chasing pack. A huge battle for the lead between the two Canadians. Villeneuve, 23-year-old from Quebec, Tracy, 25, from Toronto. Arie Luyendyk's crash on lap 30 brought out the yellow flags and inadvertently set up an excellent last 15 laps. Villeneuve coming through from third to challenge the Penske pair, Tracy and Unser. And he surged past to retake the lead. Villeneuve resisted the aggressive Tracy. Unser happy to settle for a points finish to give him the championship. Nigel Mansell encountered problems throughout. A misfire and then a late pit stop for new tyres. He was relegated to 13th. Tracy's race finished with 6 laps to go, the engine giving out on the Penske, promoting Unser to second behind Villeneuve. The young Villeneuve was in great form, hanging on for his first win in the IndyCar series. Second place was good enough for Al Unser Jr. to take his second PPG IndyCar championship. The checkered flag sparked off celebrations in the Forsyth Green Camp as another famous name is added to the illustrious list of IndyCar winners. Mutual congratulations for the Unsers and Villeneuves. It was a win with nothing to spare, Villeneuve running out of fuel after the finish.
You know, the first win is always a very important one because when you're in the lead and you know you've got a good chance of winning, but you've never won, you always wonder if something is going to happen. And if you make something happen, you're going to be blamed big times for it. But if you've already won, then it's probably easier, and it's probably more relaxing once you're in the lead.
A first win for Villeneuve, a second championship for Unser, a 9th title for Penske.
You know, for myself to actually first year on the team and all that kind of stuff, and who my teammates were, you know, for me to actually do it was a little bit far-fetched, you know, and so, but, you know, with a little bit of luck on my side and all of us working together, we were able to do it.
The new champion on parade with wife Shelley and team boss Roger Penske.
He's just been a common thread that's worked well through the whole organization with Paul, with certainly with Emerson, and with all the team members. He's just been a great champion. He will be a great champion. I'm sure glad he's on our team.
So the title passes from one great competitor to another, from Carl Haas to Roger Penske. Friendly adversaries who will be in opposition for a while yet. Meanwhile, Nigel Mansell was still looking for his first win of the season, in determined mood at Nazareth. In practice, though, the car was temperamental. Understeer made control difficult. The dials and gauges on the dash didn't work consistently. Qualifying itself could only be an improvement. Robbie Gordon in the Walker Valvoline Ford was quick, averaging over 181 miles an hour, breaking the old lap record. But short of tyres, the chances of improving further were restricted. Of the Penskes, Al Unser Jr. was well off the pace, but Emerson Fittipaldi was 4th fastest, while Paul Tracy was best of all. quicker than Gordon by 0.8 of a second, a considerable margin on the 1 mile oval, and a new lap record too. Mario Andretti on his last appearance at his home circuit, third quickest. Electrical problems restricted Mansell to fifth.
First day of practice here Friday, very difficult in point of fact. There's some new regulations that's taking downforce away from the car. And to try and set the car up as we are trying to do at the moment, it's very, very pitch sensitive, and on an oval you don't want that. And on a tight oval you especially don't want it. So we're struggling at the moment, but having fun trying to get it right.
In mid-July, Brian Herter crashed heavily at Toronto. It's good to see him on the road to recovery.
Brian, Toronto, we all held our breath when you hit that wall. It was a quite horrible accident. You were conscious throughout it. What do you remember about it now?
Well, yeah, it wasn't the best experience of my life for definite, but you know, it's just one of those things that happen. Best I can tell, I don't know that I'll ever know for sure what caused the accident, but I think the car bottomed and you know, the front end just lost grip very suddenly and slid out, and of course I hit the wall, and you know, the rest I guess, as they say, is history.
What was it like being trapped conscious in that car?
Well, I mean, it wasn't too bad because I wasn't, you know, I had the presence of mind to shut the ignition off, and you know, I was looking around and I didn't see any fuel. There was some radiator fluid and some things dripping around. That's the first thing you always worry about, is like, you know, I hope there's no fuel here, because if you're on, you know, if the fire breaks out, that's the biggest problem. But I shut the ignition off, and everything seemed all right. And you know, although I couldn't get out of the car myself, the safety crew was there almost immediately. So there were lots of people around talking to me and working. So that gives you confidence. I think the scary part is the first bit where you're just there alone and you can't do anything for yourself.
We talked to Dr. Trammell after your accident. He said you were optimistic about running at Laguna Seca. What's the latest on that? Will you drive again?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that was, you know, right after the accident, I needed to set a goal for myself, you know, to help me get back, because I want to get back. I love this sport and I miss it terribly. So I said, all right, I think I can race at Laguna Seca. I don't know for sure that I will race, but just to be able to be medically cleared and fit enough to do the race was clearing a hurdle for me.
Late Saturday morning, and Nigel Mansell had drawn 11th spot in the qualifying order. Not ideal. A later draw would have been an advantage. He clipped almost half a second off his practice time to move ahead of Mario and Al Unser. It was a fine performance by Nigel Mansell, and the team recognized that. 19.55 seconds, an average of 184 miles an hour, but there were still 19 drivers to qualify as the track got quicker.
Well, winding yourself up for qualifying on an oval again, you just get those two chances. We set the target at a 19.55. Now we just got to wait and see whether Rob Bazell, Robbie Gordon, or anybody else can beat it. So I'm happy at this moment in time.
Bazell was fast, but not faster than Nigel Mansell.
Yeah, we enjoy the ovals, and we have a base setup. Like yesterday, we try new tricks and a new development. Didn't work, so we just come back today for the setup. We always, you know, start and you know, then we choose the track, and we, you know, fast again. So you know, but it wasn't quick enough for Paul. So Nigel find some extra that give him 2/10 quicker.
Paul Tracy found an extra 7/100ths of a second to take provisional pole from Nigel Mansell.
Well, we still haven't got the pole yet. We're still waiting for Emerson and Villeneuve to go. So it's we got a couple, you know, probably about 20 minutes to wait. But it was a good lap, and the car felt really good, so I was happy with it.
What's the secret to being quick here at Nazareth?
Oh, the whole key is the setup, like any oval. You got to have the car just, it's got to be bang on, and the conditions have to be right. I didn't think we'd run as quick as we'd run with how much hotter it's been. So, you know, but you know, the lap was good, and hopefully it'll stick.
Emerson Fittipaldi, the old master of IndyCar racing, with his young nephew Christian on leave from Formula One duties. And young Christian would have been impressed by the way that Uncle Emo handled these sweeping curves. 19.3 seconds, averaging 185.6 miles an hour, a world record for a 1 mile oval.
it was quite a lap. Where did you find that from?
Well, the last lap was just about flat in turn 2, and I was coming out very close to the wall, and again in 3 and 4 I was very much on the limit. I mean, I drove as deep as I could, and the car was actually well balanced. Everything went fine.
We tried very hard, but I mean, I can remember, where was it? It was Toronto, Vancouver, Cleveland especially, and a couple of other places to boot, Portland. I was on pole until the last few minutes. And, I mean, Paul was walking down the pit and he had a nice smile on his face, and I was going. And then Emo found that fantastic lap. But, you know, it just shows what a great team the Penske team is, and I have to say what a fabulous job Emma's done and Paul today.
I knew it was going to be very, very difficult to get there. I mean, on my mind, come to the racetrack this morning, I never expected we were going to be quicker than 19.5, 19.6. I see that's going to be Paul around 95, 96. It surprised me because with the change on the rules, you know, they try to slow down the cars, but I think the package with the improvement on suspension, mechanical, you know, and under the car and underneath the aerodynamic, I mean, improve the speed again. I'm surprised that we're going as fast as it is on short oval.
I think what Emo's demonstrated today, and Paul and myself, is just how competitive this series is. I mean, you know, I got the pole, then I lost the pole, and Paul lost the pole. I mean, and you got to remember, and that's why I said earlier, and that's why I clapped Emo, this is the fastest, you know, qualifying time on any mile oval anywhere. And I tell you, it's impressive.
The Nazareth circuit is owned by Roger Penske. Who could beat his cars on his track? Glamour, perhaps the most attractive feature of the IndyCar circuit, is the way in which the wives of the drivers are such an integral part of the scene. Always enthusiastic, always supportive, not just of their own, but also each other. They're always there at the trackside, close to the action, aware of the dangers and difficulties, and experiencing the bitter and the sweet moments of IndyCar racing.
Well, first of all, Shelley, very many congratulations. Your second IndyCar championship. You must be very happy.
I'm extremely pleased and very proud of the whole Penske team, and kind of relieved that it's over with early because we can enjoy the last 2 races. I mean, Al won't. He'll want to win no matter what. But for me, it's nice to just kind of go, you know, it's done.
I mean, what are the best and the worst things about being married to a racing driver?
I guess the best things about being married to Al as a racing driver is that he's very spontaneous, and he's a lot of surprises. Never know what we're doing next, and he's very spontaneous. It can be very exciting. And I would say the worst is when you have to deal with somebody who goes through the amounts of adrenaline that a race car driver does, and they don't get to, like if he falls out of a race. Those are the worst parts, dealing with someone that doesn't know what to do with all their adrenaline.
I suppose the best things are when we have a win, because that's a wonderful feeling. And I suppose the worst things are when things start going wrong and you feel very frustrated for your husband and you feel you want to help and really things are out of your control. And obviously when things go dramatically wrong, you know, such as injury and things like that. So the highs and the lows. And there are plenty of both.
Well, you and Nigel, of course, have been together since your college days, so you helped him right the way through his career.
Quite a few years, yeah.
Tell us a bit about that, how much of a struggle that's been.
Yes, it has been a struggle. When you stop and look back and think about it, you don't really believe what you've gone through, you know, to get where you have in life. But I think you've got to be there as strength, and when one of you is on a low, then it's up to the other one to be there, to be strong, and vice versa.
The bad thing, you have all the glamours, you know, the successful, and the worst thing is the lifestyle that we have, you know, it's very headache.
Have you found the sort of family atmosphere that exists in IndyCar racing? How much more welcome the children are around the paddock, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Have you found that more enjoyable?
It's nice. It is a family atmosphere. You can see that throughout, through the fans, through the teams. And it's good the children get to meet the other children from drivers, and they play together. And that's nice. Our children have really enjoyed their time over here immensely.
I got to know the Mansells a lot more last year. Their kids played with our kids, and they were really nice people. So that was kind of fun, you know, the kids comparing their accents. Why do you talk like that? Well, why do you talk like that? So.
Nigel, of course, is so popular all over the world. Do you find it hard sharing him with such a huge public?
No, not really. It's nice to see the pleasure that he obviously brings to so many fans, and the loyalty, and, you know, the way people are with him over here and obviously over the other side of the pond. It's incredible.
I'm usually very proud, you know, to share him, and usually the whole thing is really, it's wonderful to have everybody come up and admire what he does, and just once in a while you get just a little, just tired when I'm tired or something, but for the most part it's wonderful.
You know, it's a situation that you get used to. You know, they're athletes, they're very famous, and you have to learn how to share with people and fans and everybody.
Do you enjoy driving yourself?
If Al's not with me, I enjoy driving. If he's with me, forget it. He's like the worst.
In the middle of race weekend at Nazareth, the drivers take time out for a spectacular and fun event, the 8th annual Bosch Sparkplug Pro-Am Grand Prix. Most of the drivers began their racing careers in karts, usually a little more powerful than these. The trip back to their roots is eagerly contested. It's a relay race, IndyCar personnel teamed with members of the media. Each driver does 2 laps, then hands over to his teammate. Staged in the pit lane and front straight, it's marvelous pre-race entertainment. Drivers who lapped at 185 miles an hour the previous day probably noticed their drop in speed. It's fierce, friendly competition. And the winner? Wouldn't you just know it? Al Unser Jr., the man with the Midas touch, even in go-karts.
The key to this circuit then is the setup. There's absolutely nothing a driver can do once the car starts to get away from him. And on this, the fastest of all the 1 mile ovals, the tendency is for the car to break into oversteer. Very worrying when you've got the walls outside you at over 180 miles an hour.
And this year, of course, they're taking a lot of downforce away from the cars on the mile ovals, and it makes it more difficult. The car's a little bit more skittish. So it's almost a one-groove racetrack again, like Indianapolis. It's going to be exciting.
Exciting, certainly. Nazareth boasts it's never staged a dull race, but poignant too. Mario Andretti's last IndyCar race in the town where he's lived since he arrived in America in 1955. Paul Newman and Nigel immediately prior to the start, well aware that the Penske's were once again going to be difficult to beat, with Emerson Fittipaldi on pole position. The Penske's blasted away from the start, Nigel Mansell in pursuit. The opening laps of the race are always fraught with danger. The 1 mile oval cluttered with traffic, each driver trying to force his way through the field. A bit like racing around Piccadilly Circus at 180 miles an hour. With the Penske's out in front, the rest were jockeying for the minor positions. Then, problems for Nigel.
2 holes left. 2 holes left on the front wing. It's that bad.
The necessary pit stop caused a frustrating delay, a repeat victory on the circuit where he secured the IndyCar title in 1993, looking highly unlikely. Mario Andretti also suffering from a poorly handling car, and it resulted in him colliding with the wall. A nasty accident that could have had terrible results. Unthinkable for Mario to be injured in his last race at Nazareth. Fortunately, he was unhurt, and nobody else was caught up in the aftermath. Intense relief all round.
Okay, Mario's walking from the car is okay. The car's terrible over. His car was oversteering like mine.
Meanwhile, the Penske's were tearing round the oval. lapping everyone in sight. Paul Tracy ahead of Alonso Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi. And the problems got worse for Nigel.
Jim, it's not right. There's something wrong, somewhere. Mario's car is the same.
Retirement after 97 laps, the only option. A frustrating, disappointing race for Nigel Mansell and Newman Haas at Nazareth. Still, the Penskes thundered on, although one of the challengers crashed out. A mistake by Adrian Fernandez in the Reynard as he tried to pass Jacques Villeneuve, and Fernandez slammed into the wall. Again, he was unhurt, and the rest of the field unaffected. Lap 200, and Paul Tracy dominating, on course for his second win of the season and his first ever on an oval. Alonso Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi were following in his wheel tracks second and third. So another 1-2-3 finish for Penske for the 5th time this season, and amazingly, they were 4 laps ahead of the nearest challenger. Celebrations were likely to be long and hard in the Penske camp. In the championship, Unser 59 points ahead of Fittipaldi, with Tracy third. The victorious trio now recognized as one of the best driver combinations of all time.
Very many congratulations, your first oval win.
Well, it was terrific. You know, the car was working great all day, and put the move on Emerson right on the start. I knew once we could run out there on cold tires, the car was going to stick on the outside, and it was just like the car was hooked to a string all day.
Paul had a fantastic race today. I mean, he was dominating the race, and he was going fast. And on the last yellow, I was right behind Junior trying to see if I could catch Paul, but we couldn't do it. And then I hit traffic, and Junior broke away from me. I mean, it was a great race. I'm very pleased.
All the guys did a great job on the whole team. I congratulate Paul for doing a wonderful job today. And, you know, it was just, it was a great day at the races. You know, we started a little bit back, and that may have cost us a little bit, but you know, there at the end with that last yellow, we were right there with him, and Paul just, I think he was holding back a little during the race.
Well, you know, the extraordinary thing is we've certainly sampled the highs and the lows in the last 2 years, and I mean, today it was very disappointing, but the morning warm-up showed a lot of promise. We're very competitive. But what happened to the car, we're not quite sure, but it's got a massive oversteer, like it's trying to jackknife on every corner, and on an oval, that's lethal. And we came in and made a lot of stops, as you saw. We took 5 holes of front wing out, so aerodynamically it wasn't causing it, because you know, you should have massive understeer. But alas, mechanically there's something wrong with the car, and the team, being a good team, a mature team, if not a great team, made the wise decision, and we jointly decided to retire the car to get out of everybody's way.
Next week, a look back at Nigel Mansell's 2-year IndyCar career through the eyes of those who have been close to him during his time in America. And how will he fare back in Formula One? The expert's opinion.